In this episode of Clarity Digital Pod, I sat down with longtime marketing leader Ashley Segura, Director of Marketing at SearchLab Digital, to talk about what's working and what's not when it comes to content strategy, SEO, and the changing expectations of modern audiences in a post-AI world. All right, let's go. Hi, Ashley. How you doing today?
I'm good. Good. I've had my coffee. It's Friday morning. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm having my second cup right now. Friday
Nice.
morning. Happy Friday to you. Obviously, you are what I call a SEO celebrity in the field. Everybody in the SEO and marketing field should know you. But if you don't mind, introduce yourself again for our target audience. That would be great.
Yeah, certainly. My name's Ashley Segura. I'm the Director of Marketing over at SearchLab Digital. I have been doing everything from content to social, everything within the digital marketing realm for a little over 15 years now for B2B, B2C, SaaS brands. I've opened 4 different marketing companies, worked in-house, and very familiar with agency world, and that's where I'm currently at.
Yeah, I love the agency world. It's a little bit work hard, party hard type of
Yeah.
environment, but you got to work hard. I like it because there's less politics and
Mhm.
there's less unnecessary meetings. The meetings are necessary in the agency world. You can have, but the in-house has its perks too. So, and just like you, I've been on the both sides. I think you and I met about. I remember my wife was pregnant when we met at Napa,
Yeah.
so that could have been like maybe 8 years ago. It was one of the most awesome SEO conferences that unfortunately is no longer around, right? That was Advanced Search. Is that what it was?
Yep. Yeah. Shout out Jim
Yeah.
Christian.
Jim Cush, yeah, for sure. And at the time you were at SEMrush and now you're where you're at. So that tells us about your background. I think you were presenting too. And you've been in the content world and SEO world for a long time. So I just want to get to a couple of things. You mentioned B2B. We do a lot of B2B marketing as well. As I mentioned earlier before we recorded, we work with manufacturers and direct to consumer and SaaS as well, startups. And there's all these terms popping out in the B2B, like demand gen and I don't know, account-based marketing and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, marketing is very simple, right? It's about creating the content that resonates with the audience. How do you do that for a B2B company or agent, a client, as opposed to B2C?
B2B is really different for creating content that actually sticks and resonate because usually people aren't coming to B2B brands until they need something. And so if you have book a demo as your CTA as a B2B brand, no one's going to actually click on that until they're scoping out a bunch of different service providers. For example, right now I'm looking for a new email software provider. If I land on MailChimp's website and I want to book a demo, and I found them from a webinar that they did or a piece of content that they published, that will make sense for me as a user because I'm in that journey right now. But otherwise, getting MailChimp's newsletters regularly for someone who's not actively looking for a new provider, I'm only going to engage with things that are strategy based and that are going to tell me how to do email marketing better. So the messaging, how you distribute the content, what your call to actions are, they're so different than
Mhm.
B2C
Sure.
brand.
Yeah, it's very, and I think I learned that the hard way when I was running ads for a client about 5 or 6 years ago. We were bidding on a very low funnel keywords, and we noticed the conversion rate wasn't that great. And we thought it was a landing page, and we did all that, and still didn't work that well because, and or if it did convert, it was not the right leads because we noticed that there's a lot of higher funnel research that needs to happen through content before people get. So if you're just focusing on low funnel stuff, it may be too late. You may have missed the boat. They might have gone to someone else. So if you do mind talking about creating like different type of content about different parts of the funnel.
Yeah, certainly. So there's the general education aspect. And that's
Mhm.
that example that I just gave with MailChimp to where, okay, they're sending out email newsletters regularly to their subscribers about how to make the best email, how to make a subject line that makes people want to click, or how to, with inside of your email, how to create long form content versus short term content and where
Mhm.
your call to action button should be. They're really trying to educate the consumer on how to do what it is that they provide as a solution. So when you're thinking about a content strategy, I always recommend like first identifying what can your educational topics be? What is the information that your demographic is regularly searching for? And yes, of course, you have the solution for it, but how can you help them use that solution regularly? How can you really help them in their everyday workflow? ClickUp is another brand that does a really good job of creating content for
Yeah.
different stages. But then also as a B2B brand, they come through and they create fun content. So it's
Mhm.
not always just about educating. If your goal is to get brand awareness out there, especially if you're a new SaaS tool or you're a new service provider, you want people to be talking about your brand, your name, and starting to get a feel of who you are as a company, not just what you offer. And so ClickUp did a really good job of creating funny video.
Mhm.
So they have a whole educational component about how to do better at project management, also how to use ClickUp to do that, whether you've used ClickUp for years or you're brand new to project management. But then on social, they have this entirely fun component to where they're making jokes about project management. They're poking fun at all of us who are doing our best and juggling a million different things. And they're building a name for themselves on social media and becoming a well known brand in this space because they're not just educating, but they're also understanding that, oh, our demographic has some pain points, have
Mhm.
some common pain points. Let's talk about them in a fun way. Let's not always provide a solution. Let's also just be relatable.
Sure. That's an important piece that I think a lot of B2B companies miss. We recently worked with another one that all our content is very educational and it was in a very top to bottom preachy mode. This is how you're supposed to do it. And one of the feedback I constantly had is like, okay, this content is great, it's very informative, but it's the tone is getting quite boring. I don't want to come to your blog every day or get an email every day. Just this is how you should do your work. This is how you should do your work. Their target audience was product managers,
Yeah.
and I that was one of the feedback that I told them. I was like, okay, let's just make it fun. Let's have a Friday post. Let's have
Yeah.
some, like you said, some funny stuff.
Mhm.
Mix it up with some videos and memes and stuff like that. And just because at the end of the day, you're selling to humans, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether they're professionals or you're selling, and you're also working with more your target, your they call it buying committee. It's more you're dealing with more people, so there's different personalities. Some people like me, they like direct. Some like it funny. Some like it you'll have to use analogies for them, so you got to change up different things, different tones, some like videos, some like
Mhm.
to read. I like to read when I'm working because I think I have a control over how fast I read. I can scan, but when I'm after work, when I'm like sitting on my couch, then my interest changes to
Mhm.
videos. I want to watch like shorts and stuff like that. So different human behaviors as well. Then that's great stuff. Big elephant in the room. Content is the career of content marketing has been challenged a lot by AI. ChatGPT, when it first came out, it was pretty lousy in the way it was creating content, but now it's pretty good. And then there's other tools as well, Jasper and Gemini, and they write really well. And I've seen the impact on our business as well. Like blogging wasn't the things we used to do. We don't do much of that anymore. So where do you see AI in this whole content creation? Do you use it more of a research tool? Do you actually use it to produce finalized content? And what are some of your best practices when adopting AI creating content?
Yeah, that's a super great and relevant question for right now. I'm using AI as a coworker, not an executor. And so it's really great to help with, all right, I have this full blown out strategy. I will paste it into ChatGPT and be like, what aspects am I not thinking about? What am I missing on this? Because
Mhm.
I have my 15 years of experience. ChatGPT has all that language that it's pulling and learning from on a daily basis and regular basis. And so together, it's, oh, I forgot about that aspect, or I didn't think about my ICP in this strategy. What a great reminder to resurface this. So I like to use AI from an operations standpoint, a co-working standpoint to help set up automations and streamline a lot of more of those mundane tasks. But as far as fully executing and creating content, I haven't found a workflow or an AI tool that I can confidently be like, okay, all blog posts I am handing over. I will give you the outline or I'll get the outline from you. Like it's just not there for me yet. I know there's a lot of brands that are using it for all of their content creation,
Yeah.
and you can totally tell. And some users are like, I don't care. I just want to get this one answer. I want to know what the oven temperature is supposed to be to make this one thing. So I don't care if the rest of the 1,500 words is written by AI or not. But there's a huge majority of users that do still care and are still craving that authentic, sometimes messy content.
Yeah.
So, for example, there's a lot of great new AI tools that are creating videos or creating
Mhm.
shorts. Like from this exact from this
Yeah.
is a great example. From
Yeah.
this, we could use Descript or another AI tool to create a bunch of snippets. And
Yeah.
it does a pretty good job, but
Mhm.
then there's still that human element to where we need to make sure, did it really pull from the best parts of this episode? And is it really creating clips highlighting what the conversation was really about? Because it's doing a pretty okay job identifying what it thinks is the most important. But this is our narrative. This is our story that we're trying to tell. So there's still a really strong human element. I'm sure AI is going to be there very quickly to where it will be less and less of a management perspective, but I don't think we're there yet.
I agree with you. And I think even then, you still want to have the human elements as long as you're selling to humans. There's that little touch, right, at the end that makes things human. I remember when I want to give you like a comparison. I was a computer science guy at the time before I got into the SEO marketing. I got into coding during the .com days, and everybody was like, "Oh, everything's gonna be like online," and of course, a lot of things went online, Amazon or whatever. But then when the .com crash happened, a new thing just emerged. A lot of the former engineers and coders went and opened like these cool restaurants, and that's why we have this fast and casuals today. That
Yeah.
was a like I can confidently say that had Doric maybe like people. I'm not in the industry, but that happened around the same time .com crash, and I knew many former like coders and engineers like, you know what, I make good pizzas, there's no good pizza shops, I'm gonna go make my own pizza. And a lot of these former techies went and opened these fast and casual places that we enjoy today. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that there is going to be a point where humans are going to resist technology.
Yeah.
So it's just because we like humans, we like to interact with humans, and everybody's talking about agentic AI right now, agents buying from agents, and some of that will happen. But I think the human touch and element is going to be there, and it's going to be even, you're going to stand out even more if you add that human touch to your work. And I 100% agree with you. It's you want to use ChatGPT, Cloud, whatever, to collaborate. I actually the other day I was writing a blog post about hey, what to do to make your content AI SEO friendly, which they call it GEO these days. And I put together a list that I thought it was important, and then I'm like, I asked, I was in perplexity, and I'm like, am I missing something? Oh, you may want to consider LLM.txt as well. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that's how, like the example you gave me. But let's switch over to actually SEO because this is a field we're both expert in, and that's changing a lot too. When ChatGPT came out, I told a lot of fellow SEO people are going to start using this as a search engine the moment it opens up
Yeah.
to the web. How's that impacting the whole when consumer journey doesn't start in search anymore or Google search anymore? It could actually start in ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever tool they use, AI Max or Google Max or what is it called? The AI feature that Google has. So how do you see that all changing, impacting our career and our strategies?
Whew, big question.
Yeah.
So, as far as our career, I mean, for those that were around from Penguin and before, like it's another huge pivot. It's
Mhm.
another huge learning curve. And a lot of people are going to drop off because they're not going to pivot. They're a lot of the old school black hat strategies are back up and everyone's, oh, this is the answer. This is what we need to do again. And so they'll last and then they'll drop off just like it's always been. With marketing has never been a lull. Marketing from its inception has consistently changed to where like now we have so many different aspects of marketing. We have field and events marketing, we have digital marketing. There is so many different aspects, and That's the beauty of it. And this is the industry that you signed up for with a career like SEO, content marketing, anything within digital at the moment. And so if you're not ready to keep swimming upstream and adjusting to all these, then we're going to see huge amounts of drop offs. And then we're also going to see a lot of creative people and a lot of really technical people like Mike King, Rand Fishkin. They're pumping out so much content. They're testing these things right now. And they're able to come up with conclusions like, okay, traffic as a metric is dead. Let's pivot that. It
Yeah.
never told a good story to begin with anyway. So let's
Mhm.
tell better stories with the marketing efforts that we're doing. So I think it's going to make the marketers that stay better marketers for
Yeah.
sure. And it's going to pave a new path for us. What was your second question?
The second question, how does that impact our strategies?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Drastically. So
Like you
right
mentioned,
now,
traffic is no longer a good KPI or
yeah. And so now it's kind of okay, what should we chase? What do we chase? There's a lot of agencies who immediately jumped on the AI train and was like, we're going to offer optimizing for AI as a service. And
yeah.
it's like,
Good luck with that.
exactly, exactly. The technical agencies that are actually analyzing this in the weeds every single day, they're creating their own agents. They're really taking the time to understand this. It makes sense for them to offer it. But otherwise, we're all learning how this is going to become
Yeah.
a part of our strategy.
And it changes a lot because it's not like Google updates where it goes a few months and then they have another major update. This is happening live. And in Perplexity, I used to show up in the top, or our agency used to show up for top enterprise SEO agencies in LA area, right, or Orange County, and now it doesn't. I'm like, okay, what happened? Like, we didn't change anything. So things, because it keeps changing, because it's the algorithm keeps learning. And what I've
Mhm.
noticed is that you just got to do what Google has been saying all along: do what's right for the users, keep producing original content. And another thing that I've noticed is that you also want to go omni-channel now. It's no longer just about your website, right? It's about your social media, your earned media, all that stuff, your PR. I remember you were looking for a PR company to as well, probably for similar reasons as well, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because that's a perfect example of how strategies are changing.
Mhm.
Before we look at PRs, oh, it's supported marketing. If you have budget for it, then do it. Now it's like, no, PR must be a
Must
part
be
of
done.
strategy. Your
Mhm.
clients and your brand must be getting mentioned. And this is not link building mentions. This is like
Sure.
actual PR. There needs to be press around your company talking about why you guys are the best at doing what you do. And there needs to be relevant industry publications. Like this is for me, the really fun part, because this is old school marketing, and this is like
Mhm.
very traditional in the weeds, getting mentions, getting brand recognition, not buying links, not working
Yes.
on your link profile. There's substance here.
Sure, 100%. And this is why we're offering a new program called Digital PR at our agency, exactly for the same reason. Over the years, link building, I came across I built a lot of relationships with a lot of publications. Now I'm changing our approach. It's no
Mhm.
longer about getting links with domain authority and stuff like that. It's about actually getting cited in the relevant outlets, credibility. These are all good stuff. And I think one thing that you mentioned earlier about the traffic was never a right metric to begin with, is that I think that's gonna have to we have to keep, as a community, SEO community, we have to be very consistent on that, because I still see a lot of SEOs still in marketing are talking about clicks and Google Search Consoles and rankings and stuff like that. I'm like, guys, gals, when are we going to stop doing that? When are we actually going to come up with a better KPI? I never liked traffic because it could be your branded traffic or organic traffic,
Yep.
right? Like you were just taking credit for something you didn't do. Okay, non-branded traffic, that was hard to tell too, right? Like how, I think a better KPI is someone needs to come and figure out how is SEO is helping your entire journey of the
Mhm.
customers. And I know Google GA4 is attempting to do that, but does it in a very bad way. I think
Yeah.
something that someone like Rand Fishing could do is, hey, let me help you out better, give better attribution to your SEO and content marketing effort, because
Mhm.
that's something is up to a lot of analysis and interpretation right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of data that was relevant to traffic that is still important, such as like your traffic, your referral sources. Where was your traffic coming from? Where is it coming from? That's still really important to recognize, because with marketing, one of our most difficult things, especially with SEO, is to identify what worked and what didn't, like really telling this story. And so I think with more PR efforts, it's also going to muddle the story a little bit more, because yes, we will be able to identify the links and the mentions that are happening, especially with brand mention tools and just tracking the link portfolio. But then there's also this organic conversation that's going to happen from this is, okay, a consumer saw that you were mentioned on this industry publication, then they went to your website from it. You can see all of that. But then a couple weeks later, a friend also mentioned your company name. And so then they went back to your website, and then they went to social, and then they went back and got hit with an ad, and now they're buying. So we've always struggled telling the entire story from that first touch point to the final, when we can close them, when they become an actual customer or client. And we're getting a lot better with data, but we're also getting access to more tools that are providing data that doesn't tell the full story. So I think we're going to continue to struggle with that and identifying, yes, we have a list of like basic marketing metrics that are important. That's going to continue to grow with all the LLMs. But how can we tell the story from that first touch point to the last touch point? Honestly, be able to track that regularly. That's going to be difficult.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be unique to every organization. You might not be able to have a one size fit all approach to it. For B2B, for like long term sales cycle, B2B is going to be very different than short term, like I said, the one with a free demo. That's another thing that I think a lot of B2B marketers need to remember. If you have a very inexpensive B2B product like Opus Clip, the tool I'm going to be using to slice a lot of these videos, the sales cycle is going to be quite short. Whereas if you're selling an enterprise SaaS software to banks, your sales cycle could be several years. And I know that from experience of working with one. This is all great information. Thank you so much. You mentioned tools. Obviously, your former employer, SEMrush, continues to evolve. I continue, it's love and hate with them. I don't love the new pricing. And to be honest with you, every time I log in, I'm like, oh, I don't have this feature anymore. The brand, I have to pay for it now.
Yeah.
But they are keeping up. So what are the tools you use to track success, to do content, KPIs, and also creation analytics?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like this is a hard question to answer because I've used so many different tools over the years, the new ones, the veterans, and I think it really comes down to the interface, and that's
Yeah.
what makes people stay. So I can give my list of recommended tools to
That
use,
would
but
be great. Yeah, please. If you have a
yeah,
few, just let us know because I like to learn.
definitely.
Yeah.
Blaze.ai, I
Mhm.
really like to use them for AI content. Jasper is a phenomenal one. These are for like topic ideation, really going into the
Mm.
strategy and development of content. As far as tracking metrics, this is actually something that we're working on at Search Lab Digital, is building our own Power
Great.
BI dashboard to where
Mm.
pull in from various sources and really tell the full marketing story. That is going to be a big win. So if you have the capabilities and the resources to do something like that, I always recommend taking what works best from each of the tools, like Screaming Frog. That's my go-to anytime I need to do
Yeah.
a content audit. That is my crawl tool. Ahrefs and SEMrush for so many different aspects of the content cycle, from
Sure.
ideation to measurement. Instead of having to log in and go to all of these different tools, if you have the ability to create a dashboard to where you're pulling in the different metrics and create your own, that's always going to be the most successful and what's going to win the most. But otherwise, end up using the same tools. I shout out to SparkToro, like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ones for ideation, for ICP development, really understanding your persona. But I end up using the same few, and I'll test the new ones as they come out, and then I always end up going back to what I've always used.
That's awesome. This is all good stuff. I use a lot of those tools as well, but I also have something I want to throw in the mix. I took a bunch of courses in AI, how to provide better prompts, prompt engineering courses.
Mhm.
Then
Nice.
and then I took some courses on how to create not GPTs, but also what's the other one? Agents. And you could actually do a lot of this stuff if you just know how to create better prompts and create GPTs on prompts, or depending on the platform you use, GPT for Chat, GPT, Gems for Gemini, whatever platform you use. I used to use Jasper, and it was one of my favorite one, but I realized everything that Jasper does pretty much I can do in Chat GPT, as
Yeah.
long as I have the custom GPT figured out. And it takes a little bit of back and forth. And now I'm trying to turn these GPTs into agents, exactly what you said, to pull it into my own dashboard. I'm playing around with make.com to make that happen. It's a really fun times for us marketers to experiment things with vibe coding too. You can
Mhm.
literally prompt something, you can just code something for you, and you can just put it on your website. This is a time for, when it comes to tools, to learn, like you said, to learn from the tools, to make it for yourself. That was the point I was trying to make, is that,
Yeah.
hey, whenever you can, do it yourself. This is a time where you don't need a lot of resources to make
Mhm.
it happen. You can actually make it happen. You just got to have a little bit of willpower and focus. I'm spending my Saturday, Sunday nights, if I'm home, doing this stuff. Over the last weekend, I created a bunch of little tools. Some of it I put on my website just
Nice.
to, for quick audits and stuff like that. But then again, a lot of credit goes to the OGs like SEMrush, Href, because without they still have a lot of good data,
Yeah. Mhm.
and they have APIs that you can connect to, and they will continue being in business because of the data. This is all good stuff. Before I move to the personal questions, did I miss anything out? Would you like to talk about any topics that I may have forgot to ask?
I think that this pretty much covers a lot about where content is right now and where we're going. This is, like you said, it's an exciting time. As long as you have the right perspective for it, this is a
Yeah.
really cool time to be a marketer.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of changes are happening with our careers, with the way we do things, and a lot of people don't like change. I always tell people, you have to to be a marketer, you have to have at least one of these three qualities. You have to either be very social, or you have to have ADHD, or you have to be very humble. Because if you're like, it just, at least one of these three, because it keeps changing and it keeps throwing curveballs at you, and you got to be able to take a step back and learn new things. So this is great stuff. So let's move on to personal questions. So you're right now full time at where you at. What was the name of the company again? I apologize.
Search Lab Digital,
Oh yeah, Search Labs. Okay, of course I know Search Labs. And you're, as you said, like director of content marketing, or
Director of
VP.
Marketing,
Okay, great, good for you. Where are they based out of?
Chicago.
Chicago. But are you still living in San Diego? Or did you move?
No, I'm up in Bend, Oregon now.
Oh,
Moved up to
Bend. Oh, cool. Good for you. Good for you. I love Bend. I love San Diego and I love Bend. So, you went from one awesome place to another, but the weather is quite different in winter time. So, yeah.
very different. There's
Yeah.
snow. I had to learn how to use a snowblower when we first moved up here and adjust to driving in the snow and all of that. But 5 years in, we're good now.
We have a client in Bend, so if I go there, I'll probably give you a call. Hey, let's get some drinks. That's awesome. Good for you. And I'm assuming that you just focused right now on your job. You're not doing any consulting, any of that.
Yeah, correct. This is quite a hefty workload. So we're doing a lot of marketing operations right now, laying the groundwork to be able to launch a ton of campaigns and do a ton of event marketing coming up in the fall. And so it's busy time.
You brought up events. Are you speaking at any events?
Have a couple potential that I can't announce yet for fall, but I will be back on the circuit.
Cool. Awesome. So when you're not being an awesome marketer, what are you doing? What do you like to do?
Ooh, outside of the office, I like to mountain bike. I'm a big outdoors person, and specifically, if I can get on a mountain bike and go downhill, then that's my preferred choice.
I like the
Otherwise,
downhill too.
yeah, it's fun. And living in Bend, there's just a million great things to do
And
outdoors.
it's
So,
amazing for that. Yeah. And I love the little lake you have in the downtown. Like I think in kayak there. So I'm a
oh yeah,
kayaker. So
yeah, I'll be
but
floating it later today.
yeah, yeah, very cool. Very good for you. I guess my last question is that, and this one's a weird question. If you could be a superhero from a comic, what would it be?
Oh boy. Okay, you're asking the wrong person because I'm the least comic person there is. So like the only thing I could think of is Superwoman, but that feels so cliche. But I'll take it because it's all I got.
Okay. And you are a superwoman in the SEO and content marketing world, so we'll take it. Ashley, it's been a pleasure having you. I really appreciate your time. I'm glad we were able to make this happen. Thank you for your time and good luck with your new role. And I know you're going to kill it, and they're happy. They're lucky to have you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. This was a
Of
lot of
course,
fun.
it was a lot of fun. Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.